Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another live stream. We are reporting on the situation from Jamaica. We're looking at Kingston Harbor right now as this gigantic storm, what's turned into a Category 5. This thing's about as strong as it can possibly get, and it's making a beeline towards the coast of Jamaica. It's going to make landfall possibly during the overnight hours tonight, but either way, conditions are going to deteriorate starting now and moving into tonight during the overnight hours, tomorrow, and this could very well be a repeat of what we saw with Hurricane Maria. You guys remember Hurricane Maria? Kevin, Rick, Theodore, Drifter, Victoria. Make sure you hit the like button, guys. That way the video will get recommended a little bit more. It's a weather video, so you never know. Berlinda, what's going on, guys? Yeah, we've got a situation unfolding down here that's already historic. This is a Category 5. Going to make landfall, no doubt about it, as the largest storm to ever reach the shores of Jamaica. They've never seen a Category 5 down there, so I don't think they're probably really quite sure what to expect here. I don't know. I mean, this reminds me of Maria 2.0. You guys remember Maria and her Puerto Rico? Maria followed Hurricane Irma back in 2017. I mean, it was wild. And Puerto Rico, time you factor in the mudslides and the power grid was like 95% decimated. I hope that doesn't happen here, but this is a stronger storm, by the way. Maria was a Category 4 when it made landfall. This storm here is supposed to be a Category 5. Again, right now we're in Kingston Harbor. I'll show you guys where we're at. Here's Kingston. Kingston's going to be on the right-hand side of the storm. You can see the storm here. It is indeed a Category 5 right now as I do this video. You can see that right-hand counterclockwise motion, which will be going right into Kingston Harbor, which is right here. This is Kingston Harbor. Conditions right here are going to deteriorate as we are on this live stream because the outer bands, it's not actually outer bands, plural. This thing looks like it's got one singular giant outer band. It is one of the most organized, cohesive storms I think I've ever seen. It is shockingly organized. Look at this thing. Look at the satellite presentation of this thing. That's what I use for the banner. That is, look at the outer, there's not outer bands. That is one thick consecutive band. It's moving at a staggering 3 miles an hour. It's still got a ways to go, but as you can see, the outer band is getting close to the shore. It's starting to push water in, the rains are going to start coming in, and conditions are going to, you know how it is during a hurricane landfall, conditions get very, very dicey. You know, power can go out, flooding, and the situation down here, there's mountains behind these people. You've got lowlands up against the shore. I'll show you guys on Google Earth here in a minute. And then you've got mountains just a few miles behind them. Those mountains are going to be collecting a ton of water that's going to go downhill. You can see the mountains just barely right back there. So this is going to be a very, very precarious situation in here because you're going to have water coming in from both directions. Probably in the next 20 to 24 hours. Water coming in from the west and water coming in from the east, coming down the mountains. That's what happened in Puerto Rico. It was just an unbelievable scene. And they were, 2 years getting see the mountain right there? There you go. That's mudslide waiting to happen. And where's it going to go? Right down into here. Down into Kingston. It has nowhere else to go. Oh, my. Yeah, this is not a good situation. See the camera starting to bounce a little bit. We've seen this with hurricane landfalls before in the past. I remember a hurricane that made landfall in southern Louisiana. I don't know how the camera lasted as long as it did. We were on the camera for 4 hours and it was bouncing the entire time and stayed on the entire time. It was unbelievable. I believe, yeah, it did. It stayed on for several hours. Make sure you hit the like button, guys. I'm not trying to win a popularity contest, just trying to push the video out there a little bit farther, that's all. If you know anybody in Jamaica, I personally do not. We were thinking about, before we saw this thing was going to go to a Cat 5, going to Jamaica to do a live report from down here. But Category 5s are just, they can be a little bit unpredictable. And you don't know the situation down there, so it's best that people evacuate instead of go in. So we decided not to go down there. But we did consider it at one time, but I didn't know the internet situation. It's a whole thing. You can make a travel destination to go somewhere and do a live stream from some remote location, and then next thing you know, you don't have a connection. Starlink works pretty good, but again, you're in the middle of a Category 5 hurricane, so all, bets are off. Things are much, much different in the middle of a Category 5 hurricane. Here we are again in Kingston. This is on the right-hand side, the soon-to-be right-hand side of the storm. It hasn't made landfall yet, but this area here is going to be receiving water from the mountains behind back here, and then water coming inland. There's very little elevation along the coastline. I was looking right down here. Look how they just pull the boats up. Look at the elevation difference is 12 inches, or 1 meter, about 18 inches. Look at that. There's no elevation here. None. Water's going to come right up into there, and then from the mountain behind, see there? Look at that. Water's going to come down through here. It has nowhere else to go but back out to the coast, right? And on its way to the coast, from down the mountains here, there's a valley right there. Water come right down through here, through the community. I believe this is Old Harbor, and then right out here. So you got water coming in from the west, and eventually, after hours and hours of rainfall, water coming in from the east. Both directions. It's just a very, very unbelievable situation here. Right now, things look pretty good, but guys, it's going to... when it does deteriorate and the rain starts, it's going to happen in a matter of like 5 or 6 minutes. I'm not kidding. The outer wall of this thing is unbelievable. Once it makes landfall, well, the eye wall, that's a totally different story. It's the outer band. Once that outer band hits, conditions are going to deteriorate very, very quickly. This whole area here is going to be very... inundated with heavy rain. You can already see fog back here. It's very quiet. This is what you call a classic calm before the storm, right? Right now, the power's up, street lights are on, electricity's on. Got a lot of wires here. I don't know how they're going to hold up during 150-mile-an-hour winds. Hopefully, they'll do good, but I don't know, guys. I don't like what I'm seeing here. This storm is not anything to underestimate. This is in Kingston right here, guys. Babacan. The right-hand side of the storm is going to go through here. So this area, it's already 5 o'clock in Kingston, Jamaica. You can see they put some rocks here on the roof to kind of maybe help hold it down a little bit. I don't know. We're just kind of looking around because the storm's just minutes away from starting to rain, just coming down in 1 to 2 to 3, probably 3.5 inch per hour rates. This is a very strong storm system. This place is going to have an entirely different personality here in just a minute. There's the mountains right there. The water is going to come down the mountains into the communities here. That's what happened in Puerto Rico with Hurricane Maria. Gravity takes over and the water comes right down the mountains. It's going to happen again. It's unavoidable. It's coming right towards the island, and the storm's as big as the island. So it can't miss. That's the only thing. It's not going to miss. See the fog coming up out of the mountains. You can see the temperature variance the temperature starting to change. It's a classic calm before the storm, guys. Hurricane Melissa turned into a Category 5. That was an unorganized system out there in the Caribbean Sea for quite some time. And then it just started becoming organized. Conditions, look at that fog coming down that mountain there. Yeah, classic calm before the storm. Wow, it's coming. This area, look how quiet it is. The trees aren't moving. Guys, this is literally minutes away from just cutting loose. We're probably not even going to be able to see the street lights over there. We probably won't even be able to see that tower right there once it starts raining. It's going to rain so hard. Visibility will be down to 0 in most locations anywhere near the storm. I saw one report that said rainfall totals of 42 inches. 42 inches of rain. So you take 42 inches of rain and put it on a mountainside. Wow. Here we are back in Kingston Harbor. Starting to get a little bit windy here. Once the birds clear out, they're already starting to clear out because they sense the energy moving in. Once they disappear, we don't see any birds. The water starts getting super choppy. Yeah. Again, this is Kingston in the harbor, Kingston Harbor in Jamaica. This will be on the right-hand side of the storm. It is on the right-hand side of the storm, and you can see the waves are moving from right to left. That is consistent with the rotation of the storm and the winds. The winds are blowing the water right to left. The storm is just behind this camera. So that might be to their advantage, at least for a while. I don't know. The rain's going to be a whole other story. 42 inches of rain. That's what I saw on a site that I've used for years. I remember one time it showed me 50 inches in Texas one time. And I'm like, there's no way. It was right, 50 inches. It happened. I couldn't believe it. So guys, we're going to track the storm because once the outer band reaches the island, it's going to be inundated in heavy, heavy rain showers for hours. Look at that. Look at that band right there. That's not multiple outer bands. That's one big thick band that's moving at 3 miles an hour. I've never seen anything quite like this. We've seen big storms before in the past, but this just takes the cake. It really does. It takes the cake. Kingston Harbor in Jamaica. Storm minutes, literally minutes away. And I'm talking the outer bands. The heavy, heavy rain showers are minutes away. That's why I waited to come on, because I wanted to come on before the power grid was compromised, because it's just a matter of time. This is going to go on too long. It's going to be a long duration event. So, yeah, there's probably going to be widespread power outages, if not island-wide power outages, just like Puerto Rico. I mean, that was a mess down there for a couple years, just getting power restored. And I don't think that it's completely 100% in Puerto Rico. And it's been years since Hurricane Maria went through there. But you got to keep in mind, they had to rebuild the entire power grid down there. That's a massive undertaking. Hopefully that won't happen here, but you got to keep in mind, this is a stronger storm. It's a Category 5 right now. It's forecasted to make landfall as a Cat 5. If it does, then we already know the outcome, because we can look at history and see what history tells us. Hurricane Maria did a number on Puerto Rico. My goodness. So right now, looking over here, you can see the power's on. You can see lights on at this hotel. But visibility is starting to wane just a little bit. So the rains are moving in already. Once it starts, we'll probably we won't even be able to see these buildings over here. Once the rain moves in, and I can tell it's starting to move in, we can't see the mountains back there. those steep hills, and they're going to catch a lot of rain, and that water is going to come right back down into the city. So hopefully everybody's on high ground, away from glass and things like that. I hope people evacuated. You can see the camera starting to bounce around a little bit. But again, you know, on an island, your options when it comes to evacuating are limited unless you can just go up in the elevations to a certain degree. Yeah, it's quite an ordeal. You can't just up and leave the island, you know. I mean, where do you go? If that's your home, Jamaica's a beautiful place. They've never seen a Cat 5. But it's just a few hours away, moving right in. Hurricane Melissa. From here, once it crosses Jamaica in 48 hours. I mean, that's how far out this thing is. And this thing's 48 hours away from fully crossing the island. 48 hours. It's like, are you serious? Look, well, 36 hours. From its location here to here, a day and a half. So it's going to spend a day and a half above the island. It's almost there. You can see the outer band right here. It's almost there, making landfall as a Category 5. Okay, that's where I was showing you guys on Google Earth, that peak right there that sticks out. Let's go take a look. I think that's called Old Harbor. Yeah, it's right here, Old Harbor Bay. Right there it is. Portland College, Old Harbor Bay. Moore's Pen. That looks like some sort of a refinery. Oh, man. Look. There's no elevation there. That's 1 meter. It's even. It's straight up even with sea level. So any type of storm surge right there, it's just going to be off the charts. Once it starts raining here, then we'll probably lose visibility on at least the vast majority of these buildings here if the camera stays on. I don't know how long the camera will stay on. Won't be able to see those buildings over there. It's almost there. It's just minutes away from a deluge of heavy, heavy rain. You can see the camera starting to bounce around just a little bit. And in less than 24 hours, there'll be a steady flow of at least 100-mile-an-hour winds. Now, Category 5, you just never know. Can have gusts of 150, 160, 165, 170. And this one here rapidly intensified from a 1. I think it went from a 1 to a 4 and then a 5, something like that. It is just a overachiever. That's what we call them, overachievers, those ones that rapidly intensify. Hurricane Michael did that. You can see the power on, still on, top of that building lit up. That looks like a hotel. I'm assuming a couple hotels there, right on the water. Looking out, that's probably a different angle from the Kingston Harbor perspective. We were looking at it from the west. This is looking at it, I believe, from the east, looking out. This is going to look entirely different here in just a few minutes. It is almost there. You can see that light flickering, starting to flicker.
Arizona is home to over 800 species of wildlife.
Or is that a water drop? No, it's a water drop. That's a water drop. Look like a light flickering there. Just minutes away, guys. It's going to start raining here profusely. There's a mountain right there. Look at that. That's like a big old sponge. It's going to let go of the... Oh, there's houses up there. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Nobody's out on the streets. You can tell everybody is hunkered down wherever they found a safe spot. There's a tower right here, communications tower. Few cars right here, but not much. I haven't seen hardly any activity. It's like a ghost town. People are indoors in a safe spot. Hopefully, you know, down here is too close to the water. This is going to be full of water. Unfortunately, all the water that's going to be collected in those mountains is going to come down. It's not going to stay in the mountains, obviously. It's going to come down the valleys. It's going to come down into here. It's got nowhere else to go. Gravity's going to pull it right in here. Calm before the storm. It's almost here, guys. We're waiting on Melissa. It is coincidental that Maria was an M storm that made landfall in Puerto Rico in 2017. Melissa with an M about to make landfall here in Jamaica in 2025. Both M storms and both island storms. And both very powerful storms. Maria was a Cat 5 temporarily, and then went to a Category 4 at landfall. This one's a Category 5 now, has been for a few hours, and will be at landfall. And from what I understand, it's going to be a Category 5 the entire time. It is going to be a Category 5. Look at this. Are you serious right now? It's going to be a Category 5 all the way across the island. Wow. I mean, you're talking a Katrina type of a scenario, possibly? I mean, Katrina was a Category 3, and it made landfall in New Orleans, which parts of New Orleans were at sea level, you know. And there's not even mountains in New Orleans that can collect water and send it back the other way. Oh, man. Seriously, this is not a good setup at all. Not a good setup. And you know, I'm surprised that the way Jamaica is situated out there in the middle of the Caribbean, that it hasn't taken on more hurricanes than it has. Because the Caribbean's a hot spot for hurricanes. Absolutely it is. Calm before the storm. You can see it's starting to get a little darker. Of course, it is 5:23 right now in Jamaica. Starting to see headlights on. People scurrying around. You got some people over here just kind of wandering around. What are they doing? Are they aware that there's a Category 5 storm just off to their right? Wow. We're in Kingston, Jamaica right here, guys. Kingston's going to be in the right-hand side of the storm, which is historically the strongest side of any hurricane, typhoon in the northern hemisphere. And this right now is the strongest storm on Earth. And it's headed right towards the island of Jamaica. Right here, there's 937,000 people that live here. 937,000. That's what I looked up yesterday. I looked up the population of Kingston, and just under 1 million. And that's where we're at right here. Kingston. This is Kingston Harbor. Here's Kingston, 930 plus thousand people. And again, you got the mountains here, guys. Look. It creates that bowl effect. See the mountains over here? Even right here, this is like a big hillside. Where's that water going to go? Look. The water's going to come right down here. That's very steep. These houses here, I don't know how they're going to... How are they going to manage that water situation? Look. Are you serious? A Category 5's right over here. That's going to rain for over 30 hours. The front side of the storm and the back side of the storm. Right there. It's moving at 3 miles an hour. There's nothing good about this at all. And all that water is going to go right on these hills and come straight down. This is going to create what's called a bowl effect. There's mountains over here. And these are small, but they're going to be rain catchers. Look at that. Water's going to come down both sides. You got the bowl effect over here too. The water's going to go down into here. Oh, this is, oh my God. Oh no. Are you serious? Oh no. I just saw that. That's a river. Oh no. Wow. There's no way. Oh man. Oh, guys, that's terrible. Oh my God. That's terrible. Well, this is what's coming. So if you know anybody that lives there, this right-hand side of the storm is going to go right in there for hours and hours and hours. It's right there. Right in there. Whoa. Oh, man. You don't have to be a genius to figure out what's going to happen there. So again, this is Kingston Harbor in Jamaica. As Melissa is arriving right now. Melissa is arriving. These buildings are starting to fade. We're seeing heavier rains move in. The winds are starting to pick up. Maria is knocking, or Melissa, I'm thinking of Maria 2017. Melissa's knocking on the door. It's almost there. It's just a stunningly slow-moving storm. It reminds me of Harvey. It's got a little bit of Harvey DNA. It's got a little bit of Maria DNA. Harvey was a slow-moving storm that stalled over Houston, unloading 40 to 50 inches of rain in places. This one's very, very slow, too. 3 miles an hour. I mean, it is just shockingly strong looking. It's just unbelievable. The satellite presentation on this thing, it's got the stadium effect is what they call it inside the eye wall. And not only that, the eye wall is loaded with lightning. I think it's about as strong as it can get. The last time I looked, the central pressure was below 900. I mean, it's like, wow. 889 was the central low, and that was 12 hours ago. There's a bamboo roof right there. I don't know how that's going to do. I mean, it is kind of tucked in behind that building, but we're in Kingston, Jamaica right here. Population 937,000 people as of, I believe, 2024, 2025. Fairly recently. Thanks for the likes, guys. Appreciate that. Make sure you hit the like button. That pushes the video out there farther. That's all. Now, there's folks over there in that building. Looks like they're starting to maybe evacuate. This is Kingston, Jamaica, guys. Kingston, Jamaica, as Melissa is arriving. You can see it's starting to rain a little bit harder. And you can see the slope here. So any water, which is going to be a lot, it's going to slope down into here. It's all going to run down into there to the right. You can see that's probably a 15-degree grade there, 10 at least. It's plenty to keep water flowing to the right. Right there you can see a hill. And then water over here is going to run to the left. So I suppose if you're up here, just looking at the lay of the land, you might be in pretty good shape, at least with regard to flooding, because you're on top of a slope. You can see that building's on a slope right there. So right here would be the safe spot, the blue building. At least from the flooding, definitely not the high winds, but from the flooding right there. See the inclines? All blue. There's somebody right there. What's he doing? I don't know. Waiting on the arrival of Maria. It's minutes away from landfall. Here's a fresh update. You can see the dark orange right there. That would be considered maybe an outer band, but it's all cohesive. Look at that. There's no separate bands there. That's just one huge storm. And it's been stalled right here for at least the last hour and a half, and it's going to head this way to the right. Right up in here. There you go, right up into there. It's Old Harbor. Then the right-hand side of the storm going into here, into Kingston. Old Harbor. Portland. Portland's right there on the Outer Banks, right there. I believe that's Portland. Portland, Jamaica. But right here's an area where the eye wall is going to be close to. When it makes that slight right-hand adjustment, it's going to come right into here. There's no difference between sea level and land. Maybe a few inches. And there's a canal right here that runs through the middle of the city. Well, you know the water is going to go to the canal. It's going to fill it up. It's going to overflow quite easily. You can see it's starting to get dark now. Again, we're in Kingston, Jamaica. It's getting dark. Power's still on. Melissa's a few minutes out. At least the heavy rains and the high winds are going to start to pick up. And this camera should start bouncing. It has no choice. I don't know how this thing's configured, but it's obviously up, what, 50 or 60 feet in the air. So it's always a little windier up the higher up you go. It's advantageous to go up in the elevations to get away from the flooding, but you are exposing yourself to definitely higher winds. But you can hide from the higher winds. You can't hide from flooding. That's the problem. So if you had to pick the lesser of two evils, then take the wind, go up, get away from the floodwaters, because you can hide from the wind. 5:32 in Kingston, Jamaica. And you can see the sun has set. It's starting to get dark from the very thick cloud cover that's surrounding this massive storm, Category 5 Melissa. This is the calm before the storm, guys. It is literally right over here. Man. You can see there's a slope here running down. There's a series of slopes I've noticed through here. So that's going to give that water a boost. It's going to be rolling faster down these roads. I saw an area right down over here to the right. It's an LP gas place. And I remember a storm that made landfall in Florida. I believe it was Fort Myers area. And I remember seeing the white cylinder propane and LP tanks floating around after the storm made landfall in the floodwaters from the storm surge. And when I saw those LP cylinders, that's what it reminded me of. Hopefully they'll stay intact. I hope they do, but I remember seeing them during, I think it was Hurricane Ida. Yeah, that was Fort Myers, 2021. I think it was 2021. It's getting dark. Melissa's bearing down on Jamaica, guys. It's going to be right in here any minute. It's coming. You're going to see the first high winds, because once the winds start, because this storm is so well organized, once the winds start, they're not going to let up. Not for several hours. This storm is very well organized. It is one huge cohesive storm system. This thing should not be underestimated. It should not be underestimated. This is a very powerful storm. I've seen people doing live streams from Jamaica, and this was earlier this morning, and it was just a little bit breezy, and you wouldn't have really known that there was a Cat 5 hurricane off the coast because it's moving so slow. It's just sitting out there just waiting, But I'm telling you, once it makes that first touch up here, it's going to go from like this, nice and calm, to chaos. Calm to chaos in a matter of 5 minutes. That's what's coming. It's just there. Every component is there. What's this car doing here? He decided to turn around and go the other way. Where are these folks going? You guys need to be situated somewhere. You got a Cat 5 right on your coattails, man. What are you doing? Yeah, it's starting to rain. You can see the rain coming down over here. It's raining harder. Here we go. Once it starts, it's going to end up blocking most of these views. We won't be able to see these buildings. It'll be a whiteout condition almost. It's going to be like that for hours. Yeah, this storm is no joke, man. Shouldn't be underestimated. And they've never really dealt with a major hurricane that I could find. At least nothing on the scale or magnitude of a Category 5. And you know, there's no place, I don't care where you're at, that's ever prepared for a Category 5. I mean, you can prepare so much, but there's only so much you can do, you know. I remember Hurricane Michael back in 2018 that made landfall in the Florida Panhandle in Mexico, Florida. And that storm formed between Cuba and the Yucatan in the northern Caribbean. And it was an overachiever, rapidly intensified from a 1 basically to a 5 in less than 30 hours. And it looked very much like this one on satellite presentation. Very, very much like this one here. Let's look for a new update. Look how dark it's getting there. Power's still on. I was going to look at the latest. Yeah, there we go. It did update. Okay. Look at that thing. That reminds me of Hurricane Michael. Took homes off their foundations in Mexico, Florida. It was that strong. And it's retired. They won't use that one again. Look at that thing. It's just sitting there, just spinning. Unbelievable. Calm before the storm. Melissa is just offshore. Yeah, you can see these branches aren't moving. Look at that. That's calm before the storm right there. Calm before chaos. Kingston, Jamaica is where we're at, guys. Live, waiting on the arrival of Melissa. And the folks that live here in Jamaica, they've been waiting for the last couple of days. They were hoping it would steer to the south, and that was one of the original spaghetti models showing the storm system going between Jamaica and I believe Cuba or Dominica, and then kind of cruising through that gap between Cuba and the Dominican Republic. But it ended up going farther north, and then it's supposed to backtrack to the east. In fact, it's doing it right now. It's just moving so slow. It's starting to get a little bit windy here. Let's go back to the harbor, see what's shaking there. Okay, you can tell they're on the outer edge, so that position where that camera was at, it's a little bit darker. Now keep in mind, this is on the same island. But look how much darker it is here, because this is closer. Obviously, you can see it's raining harder here, because this is closer to that outer band. It's like one big band. But it's already dark here, and it's still daylight in Kingston. And they're just a few miles away. Yep, here comes the rain here. I can't believe there's somebody on the road. Bro, what are you doing? What are you doing out getting a gallon of milk in the middle of a Cat 5? There's somebody, what's this guy doing here? Yo, my man, there's a Cat 5 right off the coast. What are you doing? I have no idea. Starting to rain a little bit harder as the storm's getting closer and closer by the minute. I mean, we're minutes away from feeling that first huge outer band, the big outer band of Hurricane Melissa. It's coming. Yes, you can see the rain picking up here, and it's much darker here than it is over in the Kingston area. Cloud cover. Yeah, here comes the rain. Here it comes. It is coming, guys. It's arriving as we're watching this in real time. Here comes the rain. Whoa, those. Hey, oh, Florida, Atlanta, Florida girl. We had homes completely destroyed in Bay County, Panama City. Homes moved off the foundations without storm surge. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, and appreciate the comment. You must be talking about Hurricane Michael, Panama City. Yeah, I know. I watched that storm from start to finish. It was. Honestly, it was a scary storm cruising up the Gulf of Mexico. Thank you for the super chat and thank you for the comment. I think that guy was using that something as an umbrella. Thank you. I'm assuming Atlanta, Florida girl. Appreciate that. Yeah, Hurricane Michael was another one that was. It looks just like this one on satellite presentation. This is hurricane. This storm here has the DNA of Hurricane Michael, Hurricane Maria, and Hurricane Harvey. It's all of it rolled up into one. It's moving slow like Harvey. It's got the strength of Michael, and it's going right towards an island like Maria. Unbelievable. And going back to Kingston, I mean, it's still light here. It's, wait a minute, this is 4:54. Wait a minute, what do we got going on here? Okay, now there we go. There, I just updated it. No wonder. Okay, you can see the camera bouncing around a little bit more. We did lose visibility to those buildings over there, so the rain's coming down heavier in Kingston. Kingston's on the right-hand side of the storm, the traditionally strongest side of every hurricane or cyclone, or typhoon and cyclone. Or typhoon and hurricane. Cyclones are in the southern hemisphere. Yeah, it's 5:41. That time is almost correct. It's 5:43. Yeah, you can see now the buildings have, for all intents and purposes, disappeared with the exception of the light. Granted, I know it's getting dark, but that's heavy rain coming down right now. It's there. The storm's there. It is there, guys. Oh man, here we go. Somebody taking the dog out for a walk, it looks like. Probably a good time to do it because the rain's just minutes away. High winds, heavy rains. Just minutes away, literally minutes away. This is in Kingston, Jamaica. Hopefully everybody's in a safe spot. You can see the slope once again. The water's going to run that way and that way. So right up in here would be a good no flood zone. And maybe that's why they're kind of hanging around in here. They can obviously see that it's not going to flood here. At least it shouldn't. So that's smart. Those mountains, man. They're going to catch a lot of water, and then the water's going to funnel right down those mountains. But I think that's a pretty safe spot right there. You're on top of a little hill. This all depends on how aggressive the winds get in here, because these trees are going to be going back and forth into the buildings, knocking things loose. And it's the branches that fall into power lines. There are no trees over here by the power lines, but there's trees over here by that transformer and power lines. There's a big tree right there just looking for a line to fall on. Right there's the power line. And there's a tree there, and there's a tree there. So that's 2 + 2 = 4. No doubt about that. That's not if it's going to happen. That is going to happen. That tree is going to end up on the power lines. And these power lines, you can see they're sagging already. That's because of weight and gravity. Once the wind starts disturbing their calmness right now, and once they start moving side to side from the winds, they basically don't collapse and fall down from the wind. They collapse from their own weight because the weight is moving around, and they're not engineered to be moving around. They're not up there on swivels. I remember an ice storm I was in back, good grief, I was just a little kid. The ice accumulated on the power lines like that, and they started to sag, and we had 3/4 of an inch of ice that landed on everything. And branches did fall, of course, but the power lines collapsed under their own weight. And I mean, they were sagging all the way to the ground in some places. That was a long time ago. I was just a little kid, but I still remember it like it was yesterday because I took a big old swig of sour milk that we had in a cooler. I didn't know it was sour until I took a big swig of it. I was thirsty. And it was in a quart container. I'll never forget it. And it was a red and white container, and I reached into this cooler of ice, and I wanted I was thirsty. I wanted some milk. Ay, ay, ay. I can still taste it to this day, and I was 10 years old. Oh, it was terrible. But we didn't have power for a week. 7 straight days and nights with no power. Melissa is right on the doorstep. It's already, you're starting to see the rain pick up. We haven't got any winds yet. It's pretty calm. This is like the calm before the storm. Man, I find it shocking there's people out running around. I really do. I find it absolutely shocking that people are out running around, and that's right there. That's in their backyard. That thing, get out of here, man. That is no joke. It's just starting, guys. This is going to be a long, long duration event. Hopefully everybody's, look at all these wires here. That's a lot of weight right there. Once it becomes stable, it becomes unsecure, and again, they collapse under their own weights, really what happens. The winds don't blow them off the pole, their own weight does. And then it causes the transformers to start glowing, just creates a whole thing. I remember that with Hurricane Charlie, looking out the window, and you can see transformers blowing throughout the city. It would create that almost a turquoise green glow in the sky temporarily. Hurricane Charlie did a number on Central Florida. That was in 2004. I was right in the middle of it. I watched it go right over my head. No, I wasn't out running around in a car. Look at that. This is Kingston Harbor. See the camera starting to bounce? We have no visibility now across the harbor. Of course, it's dark. There we got a little bit more visibility. For some reason, it's not staying. There we go. Must have been just a wind gust or something, right? Got a little more visibility now, even though it's dark. So it tells us the wind calmed down just a little bit. This is Kingston Harbor in Jamaica. This will be on the right-hand side of the Titanic storm, big Hurricane Melissa, Cat 5. That's literally minutes away from touching the island, the main primary outer band. I mean, it's for all intents and purposes right there. I guess these could be considered outer bands, if you will. They're not real strong, like the center of rotation and what extends out maybe, I don't know, 25, 30 miles, at least 40 miles in each direction all around the storm. The storm's probably 100 miles wide. It's a big storm. Oh, here we go. Look at the trees over here on the left. So the winds are picking up. See that tree right there? We can barely see it. Shaking back and forth. We pretty much lost visibility there. Let's check out St. Andrew Avenue here. This is also in Kingston. This camera moves around a little bit. The rain's starting to come down a little bit harder here as the storm's getting closer and closer. I'll show you where it's at. Right here is where the storm's at. This should update. Yeah, it just updated right before we got here. So this outer energy is coming into Kingston. The storm's going to track back in this way, and then all this is going to go into the Kingston, Portland area. Portland's probably going to get its fair share of Hurricane Melissa. Portland is right here. Portland's right there. There's Old Harbor, or Old Harbor's in here. Ay, ay, ay. That is not a good situation. Category 5. That eye wall is about as round as you could get. I don't think you could make it any rounder. Starting to rain a little harder as Melissa's getting closer and closer. You see the rain coming down harder. The only thing we don't see is the wind. The wind hasn't arrived yet, but there's the rain. See, Melissa's here. Melissa's here, and that's with no wind. Those trees are eerily calm. And once that wind starts, it's going to stay like that for hours and hours and hours and hours because there's no weak spots in the storm. It's just too strong, too well organized. There's not going to be any weak spots. Now, if you're in the eye wall, once the eye wall goes over you, Hurricane Charlie went right over my head, and I remember standing outside because the wind stopped. And I knew it wasn't over because I was watching it on radar, and I knew I was in the middle of the eye. Stepped outside, looked up, could see stars because it came through at night, the worst possible time, like this here. Even though it's not going to make landfall at night, there's no good time for a hurricane to make landfall, but the absolute worst is overnight. And yeah, I stepped out and could look up and see stars up in the nighttime sky, but I could also see the backside of the storm coming towards me because it wasn't a real big eye wall. But it was calm. It's calm inside the eye of a hurricane. Eerily calm. That's not the eye here, but I'm just saying it's calm. It's the calm before the storm. The rain's coming down pretty good, but nothing like it's going to. It's going to be pouring. This is a tropical storm of unbelievable proportions. It's a major hurricane. I think these folks were, that one guy, I think he was out walking his dog or something. Probably figured do it now before it gets too unruly outside where you can't go out at all. There's still power. The rain's starting to come down harder. Melissa's getting closer and closer. And this whole area is going to look entirely different in just a matter of hours. I don't really see a lot of flooding here because of the lay of the land. You can see the slope in the roads. So they should be pretty decent right there with regard to flooding. But however, down here, can't you see this turning into a river? Because the water is going to run down this road and it's going to come right into here. Yep. So that road's going to be a water management system for a while. I haven't noticed a lot of storm drains. Maybe that's one right there. I don't know. It's difficult to tell. I would say they would have storm drains. They're on an island, so they get rain. But they just haven't dealt with a whole lot of major hurricane. I don't think they've ever had a major hurricane like this. Not this big. It's getting closer and closer. Rain's getting harder. Melissa's at the back door. Yeah, we're starting to lose some visibility there. Obviously, it's darker, but it's raining harder. What's up, Shauna? Thank you for the cheerleader. That's very kind. Thank you, Shauna. Appreciate that. That's very kind. Here we are in Kingston, Jamaica, as Melissa is making its final approach. Here it comes, guys. I hope everybody in Jamaica, thank you, Shauna, again, really appreciate that. Appreciate the support. That all helps. It really does. I hope everybody in Jamaica is in a safe spot. I really do. I'm seeing people out walking around, and I know those are probably calculated risks. They know the storm's not completely there yet, but it's very, very close. They're probably just out getting some fresh air because they know they're probably going to be cooped up for a good day, day and a half. But hopefully everybody's in a safe spot. But you know what? It's tough. Look at how this road slopes. This is going to be a water management vessel. See, it's going downhill here. The water is going to run that way. So it's going to pool down in here. So we'll probably see water down in there after the storm's over, just by the direction the water is going to naturally flow. Yeah, you can see the rain coming down harder. Big old drops over there. Look at them big drops. It's going to be a big storm, guys. It is a big one. These folks have never seen a Category 5 hurricane. Most living people have not. So it's just not something that, you want to see. Wow. Thanks again for the super chat, or the sticker. I really appreciate that. What's up, guys? What's up, Graham? Good to see you. I'm just kind of bouncing around between these windows here. Let's see if we've got an update. Illy Got Beats, prayers for Jamaica. Thank you. Thank you for the sticker and the super chat. Yes, prayers for Jamaica indeed. We're watching, sitting on the edge of our seats, as we know there's a Category 5 just right around the corner. A very strong Category 5. The last time I checked, the barometric pressure was 889. That is shockingly low. Yes, very, very low. 900's low. Let's just put it that way. 900 is low. 889 is shocking. That's why it's Category 5. Starting to rain harder, guys. Melissa is approaching. For all intents and purposes, it's pretty much there. Now the eye wall is not going to reach the coast for another 24 hours. That's how slow this thing's moving. Once that eye wall hits, it's going to be. I doubt that any of these things will work. That's why I want to take a look now, just to kind of see how things were unfolding. Have you guys noticed the plethora of white vehicles? White is very popular. There was 4 right there. There goes a red one. I've just noticed that I haven't said anything, but most of the vehicles I've seen moving on these roads are white. I guess maybe they stay cooler, huh? Down you're in the tropics, so it's going to be hot and sunny. Yeah, I've seen a lot of white vehicles. Yeah, rain's coming down heavier. Rain has definitely picked up for sure. I just don't really see a whole lot of wind because you can see the rain's coming straight down. That rain in a few hours, maybe sooner than we think. See, there's another white vehicle there. There's another white vehicle there. 2 more. That rain will be sideways. The rain will come down sideways, easily sideways. That's when the debris starts flying. You have flying projectiles. The power lines start bouncing around, and they literally break from their own weight. That's what happens. I remember when I was a kid during that ice storm, I saw a power pole snap off at the ground. So the power lines hung on longer than the pole could itself. The whole pole came down. And there was no wind. It was just from the ice accumulation. Rain's coming down heavier and heavier. Yeah, Melissa, I keep calling it Maria. Why do I call it Maria? Because of Maria and Puerto Rico. Power's still on, rain coming down harder. You can see it on the lens of the camera. You can see the white back in the distance. There's mountains back there, but there's also heavy rain showers between the camera and the mountains, so you can't really see too much of the mountains anymore. It's dark. It's 6 o'clock in the evening in Puerto Rico. This is in the Kingston area. Population just over 930,000. And they're looking at a Category 5. They're going to be on the right-hand side of a Category 5 hurricane that is literally miles, just a few miles from the coast. What are these vehicles doing? Are you serious? What are you guys doing? Oh my, mamma mia. What are you guys doing? Why are you out running and roaming around? You need to be in your safe spot. See the water there already accumulating on the road? It's puddling right there and it's just starting. Watch. Right there's a pond already and it just started. Watch. Already seen flooding right there. There's a pond right there. We got another white vehicle and it's going to go through this pond. Watch. There's another white vehicle. What's up with the white vehicles? And there's a lake, small pond right there. And it's just started. Here it goes. See it? This is in Kingston, Kingston, Jamaica. Going to be on the right-hand side of Hurricane Melissa. Yeah, there's considerable water right there, and it's just now starting. And the rain's coming straight down. It's not even sideways rain. So water already starting to accumulate in the city, Kingston. That's where the vast majority of people live. This population, again, 930 plus thousand. Right now, the power situation looks good. Rain coming down. Pretty heavy. You can tell right here the rain's coming down much heavier since the last time we were here. Once it starts, I don't see it letting up. I really don't. Not based off the satellite presentation. There's no weaknesses in this storm. There's none. There are no weaknesses with this thing. There goes a silver car. Here comes another. Is this a white one? Wouldn't doubt it. Of course it is. Why did I doubt it? Of course it's a white car. Why would there be any other color? 6:02 in Kingston, Jamaica. Water starting to accumulate on the roads. We're already seeing flooding in some of the main thoroughfares, on some of the main thoroughfares in Kingston. There goes another, you guessed it, white car. In Kingston, Jamaica, roads are already starting to accumulate water. And the storm is just sitting off the coast. Let's go back to Kingston Harbor just real quick. Probably can't see much there. We can see the coast. We're out in the harbor, on the edge of the harbor, on one of the outer banks looking in. Harbor's right here. This is the coastline of Kingston. So as long as the camera's not bouncing around super crazy. Wait a minute. Hold up. Which it's... Wait a minute, that's 558. What you doing there, Willis? There we go. 6:03. I think it's froze. No, there we go. Okay, cool. But this is a few miles from the center. That center of rotation is something else. Let's get another update here, Graham. There it is. It's supposed to go back this way. That's going to put Portland, Old Harbor, Kingston, this whole area. If the eye wall's here, then this whole area is going to be in the right-hand side. And this is the strongest part of the storm right here. So it makes even make landfall here. The strong part's going to be here. The storm surge is going to be unbelievable. It's supposed to be a Category 5 the entire duration. The entire duration as it crosses the island. 5 all the way across. The land isn't even supposed to influence the rotation of the storm. And there's some small mountains through there. And usually mountains will interfere with the flow of air when it comes to these storms. But this one is so strong. And again, it has no weaknesses to speak of. I'm not saying it's perfect because nothing's perfect, but it has no weaknesses really. So it's going to cross the storm basically unfazed. Are you serious? You can see lightning down in the core of this thing. I mean, it is loaded. Those white dots represent lightning. So it is supercharged. That's why I say this thing has no weaknesses, man. It is strong. Unbelievably strong. It is like a hybrid between Maria, Harvey, and Michael. That's just exactly what it basically boils down to. It's slow like Harvey. It's got the strength of Hurricane Michael that was a major Category 5 storm that took homes off the foundations completely. A person commented, hey, Drew S., what's up? Yeah, you're right, Drew. When you see that black on the radar, that represents height. And the taller these things get, the stronger they are. That means it's reaching way up into the cold air. That's what that means. And so does this. This one's not black, it's pink. Whenever you see pink, that's scary. That's scary strong. That's what that means. The pink and white, it's reaching way, way up high. So it's going to take a long time for it to come down. So that's why they've got this thing going across the island as a Category 5 because it's so tall. It is a big, big, powerful storm that, again, has no weaknesses. It really doesn't. That's why once that outer band, it's like one big cohesive outer band. All that black is like one cohesive band. There's somebody else there walking. Buddy, get to your safe spot. Please, you're making me nervous. Get to your safe spot. Okay, this is in Kingston, Jamaica, guys. We're waiting on, well, Melissa has arrived. The rain has picked up since we've been on here. It's raining much harder than it was. Water's already starting to accumulate on the roads here, and it just started raining for all intents and purposes. It's raining hard. The rain's picked up a lot just in the last 30 minutes. Power's still on, obviously, which is a good thing, but as we all know, with hurricanes, especially Category 5s, power is usually one of the first things to go once the winds really kick into high gear. And right now, they're on the outer edge of the storm, but the outer edge, once it really makes full contact with the land, like Drew was saying, that black, that's what I'm talking about. Once that black hits land, then all bets are off. It's going to be an entirely different landscape here. You're going to have sideways rain. You're going to have very high winds. You're going to see these lines bouncing around. It's going to be an entirely different, chaotic scene because of that black that Drew was talking about. That's exactly right. That's how you can tell. You've seen big hurricanes before in the past, and the top parts of them are orange and yellow. Yeah, they're maybe big, but they're not that strong. That's not a super strong super soaker. When they're black, they got all the components. They got the wind, they got the rain, and they got the longevity, and they have no weaknesses. They're strong. Yeah, I can see water going down here, obviously, because it's going downhill. You can see the water already starting to run downhill here. We are in Kingston, Jamaica, as Hurricane Melissa is arriving. The outer edge of the very, there goes another white vehicle. What? The outer edge of the storm is starting to, there goes another white vehicle. Maybe that's silver. There goes a white one right there. Can't make this stuff up. Melissa's getting close. Go back to Kingston Harbor, see what's going on here. Can't really see much here. I was just looking for wind. Basically, the cameras start to bounce around. If the lights were bouncing, that would imply that the camera was bouncing. So for all intents and purposes, that camera, there's an update. Getting closer. Oh yeah, you got some black there starting to touch. That black means business. Right over here is Kingston, where that camera is at, right here. That's that camera. And the other cameras are over here a little bit closer. And again, look how far away we are from the black. Can you imagine what's going on in here? Because these cameras are right in here. They're not anywhere near the black yet. So that black area is an entirely different scenario. Oh my gosh. It's going to make this look like a stroll through the park on a Sunday afternoon. Whoa. This is mild. This is like an afternoon shower. But it's just the very, very outer edge of the storm. Which is just rain. That's very normal. Yeah, you get a little bit of rain first. It gets wet. The winds are, you get close, there goes another white car. Who'd have thunk it? The winds are closer to the core, especially the high-end winds. But they're not limited to just the core. They're very much in all that black. Here's another white car. The high winds are in all of that black. There's another white car sitting over there. What's up with the white cars? Now that one's silver, gray. There's another white one. Silver. I don't know on that one. Maybe red. What's that? Another white one. I think everybody likes white cars in Jamaica. Yeah, they've never dealt with a Category 5. I haven't either. I don't really necessarily want to. Water's starting to pool here. I don't know of anybody that wants to. Yeah, they're nothing nice. We saw what I think it was a Category 4, maybe a 5 when it made landfall in Fort Myers. Man, and then of course Mexico, Florida, up in Panama City Beach area. And they still haven't fully recovered from that, and that was in 2018. So I saw that, Graham, 6.0 in Turkey. There were 3 6+ earthquakes today. There was a 6.8 that was downgraded to a 6.5 down here off the Caribbean, down by Guadalupe, 6.5 at 5.6 miles deep, and then a 6.0 aftershock at 6.2 miles deep, and then a 6.0 over in Turkey that I believe was 6.2 miles deep. Don't quote me verbatim on that because I just took that off the top of my head. But I do know there were 3 6-pointers today within about a 12-hour period. Here comes Melissa, here comes the rain. Another white car. Update here on the radar. Wow. Look at that eye wall. Jeez. That's unbelievable, man. This right here, that could be not a good scenario here because you can see what's going to happen here. It's going to create a water trough. And that's a river. That's called the Hope River. There's already a small river that runs through there. Can you imagine? Even 12 inches of rain, which is nothing for a tropical storm. There's a whole community right there. I hope those people evacuated because they're going to get a lot of water there. Yeah, no, it's unavoidable. Looks like there's already a reservoir there. Ugh. Man, that is just not cool. And you know where that's at? It's right over here to the right. That we just looked at on Google Earth. I know it's dark, but it's right over there on the right-hand side of this this camera, right over here to the right, right in here. So So they're going to get a lot of rain. For sure. Melissa is arriving. Jamaica is getting wet. You can see the rain starting to come down harder and harder. And it will progressively, very slowly do that as the storm is a slow mover. It's moving very slow like Hurricane Harvey. Harvey stalled pretty much over Houston. I think it was moving at 1 to 2 miles an hour. This one's not much faster. Last I checked, it was 3 miles an hour. But don't be fooled by that. That's just temporary. There's another white car. Who would have ever thought that? I'm telling you, people in Jamaica like white cars. That's one thing I've learned from watching this live stream here. Yep, there goes a silver one, there's a silver one, and there's a white one. We are in Kingston, Jamaica, on the outer edge right now of Melissa. But for all intents and purposes, the storm has arrived. We're just not anywhere near the eye wall yet. The central core is not supposed to make landfall until tomorrow. 24 hours as a Cat 5. Now, again, as slow as this thing's moving, the landfall could go one way or the other, but you can see it was moving to the north, and it's making that easterly turn. No doubt about it. See it turning? And it's supposed to turn again. So that's going to put all this, the southern half of the island, southeastern half of the island, in the right-hand quadrant of this storm, which is, as we all know, the strongest part. There, it just updated again. Let's see. This side here will be, it'll consume the whole right-hand side of the island. There's nowhere to go. That'll easily consume the whole right-hand side of the island. And conditions will slowly deteriorate from now until, oh man, all day tomorrow on the 28th into the 29th. It's going to be a long duration event. Just the storm itself is going to take a day and a half, practically 2 days with regard to rain, before it fully passes the island. It's raining now. It will be raining in 48 hours. At least this much. It's going to rain exponentially harder as we go into this next 48-hour time frame. In 24 hours, it's going to be raining cats and dogs in here. There's going to be water everywhere. This is going to be a water world in through here. There goes another white car. He's serious right now. Black car. Watching Melissa get closer and closer to the island of Jamaica. Jamaica became an independent nation back in 1962. This is just the far outer reaches of Melissa, but it's slowly moving in, and this rain will slowly get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. Over the next 24 hours, it's going to rain very, very, very heavy. If it rains at a meager 1 inch an hour, here's the thing that I hope people are considering. Just consider this. This storm is moving exponentially slow. It's going to take 36 hours to get across the island from where it's at now to the other side of the island. And that doesn't mean it's going to stop raining. But let's just say, for mathematical purposes, it rains 1 inch per hour during that 36-hour time frame. 1 inch per hour. Granted, some time frames are going to be 3 inches an hour, some are going to be 2 inches an hour, and then some are going to be a half an inch an hour. But for the most part, this storm is very consistent all the way throughout. But if it just rains a simple inch an hour for 36 hours, there you go. You just did the math. That's 36 inches of rain. That will happen easily, guys. I don't know if these people realize that or not. This thing is it's bad. is because it's moving so slow. That's what happened with Harvey. It just sat there. So a 1 inch per hour rainfall rate in an event like this is nothing. That's nothing. That can happen during a thunderstorm. This is a high-end hurricane that's moving at a turtle's pace. Oh, wow. That is not good. A high-end hurricane moving at a turtle's pace. Yeah. So just do the simple math, 1 inch per hour for 36 hours, and there you go. Some areas will see 36 inches of rain, probably most of the island. I don't know why it wouldn't. It's a tropical storm. Tropical storms their rainfall rates are 1 to 3 inch per hour. Just an average tropical storm. There's nothing average about this thing. No, there's nothing average about this at all. Oh no. And rainfall rates in here are probably, good grief, 2 to 4 inches per hour. And that might be conservative. I don't know, but just do the math with regard to slow movement. That's what made Harvey such a mess, because it moves so slow. Oh man. Drew, what's up, Drew? In all your years experience in the field with all these comets and now this hurricane, what's your opinion on what we are experiencing? 25. I've always wondered why hurricanes face warmth. I know, good question, Graham. Drew, that's a good question. I don't know. It's like the energy's all stirred up, right? With the comets and the influx of comets, and we're seeing other energy spikes. I can show you guys a cosmic ray spike, Drew, that just occurred in the last 24 hours that completely overwhelmed the graph. So big that it overwhelmed the graph for an entire week. That was a cosmic ray event that just occurred that went well up over 5,000, and that topped the charts. I'll see if I can find it and show it to you. So is it tied in with the comets and all of this energy and things that are going on? It very well could be, Drew. And like you were saying, Graham, you've always wondered how these hurricanes feed from warmth. They do. They're actually heat engines. They move heat from the equator to the North Pole. That's just their job, if you will. They redistribute heat around the world, especially from the equator. Check this out, Drew. You want to see some energy? Look at that baby. Okay, for instance, see all the blue that's not supposed to be there? There's a blue dot. Red represents a positive charge. The blue represents a negative charge. Look at the blue. Overwhelmed the map, and that's a 3-day chart. Well, we got 18. That's actually a 4-day chart. All blue. And the red bursts you see right there that were detected, those are big. Those are in the 20-25% range. The blue overwhelmed the chart. Cosmic ray density, you can see the 4,500. There's the spike, up over 5,000. That is shocking. I've never seen that, and I've used that for years. So, Earth is getting hit by something. You're right, Drew. You're right, Graham. Yeah, isn't that something? That is shocking. Another white vehicle. Yeah, that is very, very shocking. There's 2 more white vehicles. You can't make this stuff up. It's the biggest cosmic ray burst I've ever seen detected on that instrument, ever. Never seen anything like it. So could it have something to do with the comets? Maybe the comets are being influenced by the same energy that the cosmic ray detector detected. Maybe that's what's stirring up all the comets, and now we've got this storm that's, for all intents and purposes, a perfect storm. I mean, this thing, there's another update. That is highly symmetrical. I don't see any flaws in this thing. There's no weaknesses. I mean, it's a textbook high-end hurricane that really should not be underestimated. And these folks, like most people, they've never experienced a Category 5. But I can assure you they'll never forget it. They'll never forget it. Not the way that satellite presentation looks. They'll never forget that storm. It'll be talked about for generations. And you're witnessing history. I hope everybody comes out okay on the other side of this thing. I really do. Is that another white car? It sure is. You can't make this stuff up. Now there goes a silver one. I'm pulling for everybody. I really am. There's water standing there, so it makes me wonder about their storm drain situation. I was wondering if the infrastructure was set up, but that does look like a storm drain right there, right? I think so. That's probably why the water is trying to run over there. Starting to see some, I think there's another white car. Starting to see some minor flooding on the interior streets of Kingston, Jamaica. That's where we're at right here. But again, the black part of the storm, the strongest part of the storm is still well offshore, because this is a slow moving storm. Let's take a look at, oh, that's the Soho. Look at that. There's more energy, Drew, coming at the Earth. There's the lightning inside the eye wall of the storm. The pink is black, basically, on this particular instrument. The pink is black. That represents height, and it represents strength. It's a strong storm that, again, has no weaknesses, none. This will be talked about for generations. You're witnessing history as it's unfolding in real time in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. By far the strongest storm, I believe, of this year. There were a couple of fish storms off the southeast coast of the U.S. that never made landfall, which was a good thing. And I do think one of them was a Category 5, and it did look like it had a respectable satellite presentation. So it probably was, but it didn't affect anybody on land, so it was a nothing burger, really. But it was a Cat 5, though. And that's good. I'm glad it didn't come towards land. There's another white vehicle. White, there's a blue one. We are in Kingston, Jamaica. Population 930,000 plus. They are awaiting the arrival of Hurricane Melissa, Cat 5. Rain's still coming down steady. It's going to get harder and harder as we move through the evening and overnight hours. Tomorrow, this is going to look like an entirely different place. May not even look the same. This little fence here, it looks like it's made of, it's just a privacy fence. I don't know. Probably not going to take a whole lot of wind. That's like a parachute. It's going to catch wind. Things like that are sticking up are going to catch wind. That tree right there is just looking for a power line because it's tall. It's going to catch wind. Rain's coming down pretty good. There's these little mountain ranges around here, and you can see houses up on these mountain ranges over there. There's houses up there. And the mudslides that were all over the island of Puerto Rico. There were literally hundreds and hundreds of mudslides on Puerto Rico following the landfall of Hurricane Maria. That was a Category 4. Not even as strong as this storm. Hundreds of mudslides. So, if you want to know what the future is going to bring, just look at history and you can have a pretty good idea. We know what these types of storms have done in the past. There's no reason why they wouldn't do them again and why it wouldn't behave the same in the future. It's not that we want it to happen. Common logic is just pointing us in that direction. It's going to be very much like Maria. Very much like Maria. There'll be mudslides galore. Look at all those communities up there. Those are all houses up on top of the mountains, guys. Look at that. Those are little houses back there. Maybe not so little. I don't know. Those are on an elevation of about 1,200, maybe 1,500 feet. Starting to rain harder in Kingston, Jamaica. There's a motorcycle. What? All right. Motorcycle in a hurricane. Melissa getting closer and closer. You can see right here, there's going to be water want to coagulate in this area here. So I was looking for storm drains. I don't see, there might be one right there. It's difficult to say. Again, Jamaica's never seen a Category 5, at least not since record keeping began. But how it's positioned in the Caribbean, I don't know how it, at least at some point in history, couldn't have experienced some sort of a major hurricane before it was a populated island, you know. I mean, it's right in the middle of the Caribbean. And then it's going to Cuba after it departs Jamaica. At least that's the projected path, making landfall up here in Cuba as a Category 3, which I'm sure it'll be every bit of a Category 3. Can't believe this thing's going to cross the island. It's going to pick up a little bit of speed, as you can see, as it crosses the island. What, moving at, does it say? It doesn't say. Wind speed 140 knots, wind speed 145 knots, wind speed 140 knots right now. But yeah, it's going to gain a little bit of speed there. You can track a little faster to the east-northeast, make landfall in Cuba in about 40 hours. So basically almost 2 days from here. 12 hours it'll be there. 24 hours it'll be just lurking right on the coast. 36 hours there. And then by 48 hours it'll be on the opposite side of Cuba. But you got to keep in mind the storm's still going to be rotating back here. So even once the storm gets over the center of Jamaica, half of it's going to be out here in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. As a slow mover, it's going to be gaining a little bit of speed, but it's just going to be a big wet mess, that's all. Heck, tropical storms bring a lot of rain. This is a big, heavy-duty storm. So it's going to bring a bunch. I can't believe people are out wandering around. Yeah. What's going on here? Trying to push that car up the hill in a hurricane. Switch cameras. Power still on. That's good. Of course, this is in the very early infancy stages of this storm. It's just letting them know that it's here. That's all. It's letting them know it's in town. Two more white vehicles. There's one silver and one white. Dark over here. This is the harbor. Kingston Harbor. There's a tree right there in the lower left. It's kind of bouncing around a little bit. Quite a lot, actually. Can't see too much other than that. Of course, it's nighttime and it's raining. So, but this is Kingston Harbor. This is where this camera is positioned, right? You know, that there is not a good situation, but there's the harbor. Right in here. So, yeah. That right there is no good. All this stuff's just going to be rolling with water. That right there. There's a house right there, man. There's a lot of houses in there. It's going to be a deluge, man. God. This right here is the one. You've already got a water trough right there. It's going to carry water right to it. I mean, right there is the vessel. That's not going to need it anyway. It's going to make its own. Wow. 930,000 plus right in here. Hurricane's right out there. Right there. Those little mountains are just like over in Puerto Rico. And those mountains are going to send water right down into these communities. You can see the slope of the land right there. See it sloping? See that slope? Which way is the water going to go? Right down in here. Make a big pool of water. See where that's been a water canal? Those have all show signs of carrying water at some point in time. That right there. That right there is another one. Those are little bitty valleys. That's why those trees grew in there. Because there's so much sedimentary soil that it's so fertile that the trees grew. Because water fertilized the soil there. That's why that does that. Here's another look at the rain coming down. A little bit harder. You can see it bouncing off the streets. Coming from the high altitude of Hurricane Melissa. A very tall, powerful storm. Category 5. Unlike anything they've ever seen here in Jamaica, they've never experienced. I don't think they've ever experienced a major hurricane. And the one that's coming is definitely a high-end hurricane. About as big as you can get. Like I said today, earlier today, I saw the barometric pressure was at 889 millibars. That's low. 910, 920 is low. You dip below 800, man, you're in a whole new dimension there. Or below 900, wow. And the lower the barometric pressure, the stronger the storm is, and the higher the winds. Doesn't necessarily mean more rain content, but it definitely means strength with regard to core winds. Man, and 889 is a bunch. That's low. Somebody else walking around, getting organized. It's 6:38 in Kingston, Jamaica. Just after dark as Melissa is lurking off the coast. Speaking of Melissa, let's go see if we've got a fresh update. We do. There's the black. The black's the stronger part of the storm. And as you can tell, this is updated like 15 times since we've been doing this. It's just a slow moving storm, which makes them more dubious like Harvey. Harvey was a slow mover. Yeah. That just makes the storm a bigger problem. A lot of storms we've seen in the past, they're fast-moving storms that don't stick around very long, like Irma was a fast-moving storm, but Irma was a very, very powerful storm. It remained a Category 5, I think, for 2 weeks, or 10 days, something like that. It was something else. But it was moving. It was a fast mover, moving along 10, 11 miles an hour, something like that. Boy, these slow ones. Just makes them that much more strong. I don't think that's a power issue there. I think that's a... Well, it could be. I don't know, guys. We're already seeing a power glitch here. Yep. Oh, that is. We got a power line going down. Holy crap. There it goes. Got a power line going down right there. And it's just getting started. I don't have any control over this camera. It's moving around on its own. But that power line right there. And guys, it's not even windy. That is not good. I mean, it's just rainy. This is just mild rain. See the blue arcs over there still going on? Whoever's running the camera, tilt it back up. There's a wire already coming loose up there. Did you see that? And it's really not even windy. It's not windy. You can see the tree branches over there. They're calm as a church mouse. There's a power line already starting to come loose. Dang, if that thing falls on the ground, you've already got a situation before the situation's even started. Look, right there. You can see the sparks flying out of it. Whoa! Well, it's not going to take much to bring that one down. Because again, it's not even windy. Must be getting water inside of it somehow and it's causing it to malfunction. That'd be my guess. So that's one, and it's not even windy. So that tells you what the rest of them may do. They may behave the same way. Can you imagine once the wind starts blowing? Wow. Yeah, that one was hurling sparks out of it. And you got people walking around out there in it. Man, you all need to get inside. You got power lines about ready to come down over there to your left. Whoa, that was interesting. Power lines already sparking. And we've just got moderate rain. Okay, the camera should pan back to the right here in just a couple seconds. Yeah, here we go. I think. I don't have any control over it, guys. Okay, pan to the right, please. I think it's just on some kind of autopilot. Okay, it's going to go back to the right. Yeah. Got a power line already starting to come loose. We basically have no wind. These trees are calm. Yeah, it's on some sort of autopilot. It'll get dialed back in. It'll go back over there in just a second. Okay, here it goes, maybe. Over here, to the right. It's stuck. Come on, buddy. There we go. I think that's why that one car was slowing down, because it probably saw the sparks flying off the pole. Go back to the right, please. There we go. Let's go, let's go. A little bit farther. That guy right there just looked up, like he was looking up at something. And the one that was malfunctioning was up here. Yep, you guessed it. 2 more white cars. Turn that camera. Come on, turn it. There you go. Is it still sparking? Sparky? I can't tell. I gotta take it up now. Go up. Go up with the camera. Yeah, still doing it. That's why that car slowed down. Look. Whoa. Yep, that's exactly why that car slowed down. Yo! You saw the sparkage up there. There's Sparky. We got a situation already. Look at that. Oh my. Got a situation already. Sparks flying and Melissa's just off the coast. Fireworks starting. That looks like where these lines meet or something. I don't know. You know it's not going to take much for that one to come completely undone, probably, if it's loose like that. That's why it's sparking, probably because it's loose. Huh. There it is. Still doing it. Whoa. Somebody walking underneath it. Dude, get away from that, man. Crazy. If that were to fall off there, there's 2 more people underneath there. If that thing were to fall to the ground, you could get electrocuted. Man, get away from that thing. Waiting on Melissa. It's just starting to let everybody know that it has arrived. Right there's Melissa. Here's a new update. Satellite presentation is nearly flawless. It has no weaknesses. It has an incredible center of rotation that has been highly symmetrical, which is also a sign of strength for well over 24 hours, or right at 24 hours. The cohesive, just solid black represents strength and height, and again, showing no weaknesses. It's supposed to veer to the right, and it is. It's moving to the northeasterly direction, then crossing the island here in, starting at least the eye wall, making the close approach to the coast in 24 hours, but moving slowly across the island over the course of 12 hours. That's the eye wall base. Well, the eye wall basically 6 hours over the island, 6.5. That is not good as a Category 5. Can you imagine? I mean, seriously? A Category 5 eye wall, it's basically like a giant tornado spending 6.5, 7 hours right over the center of the island. Are you kidding me? There's just nothing good that comes out of that. I'm just saying. Nothing. That is terrible. I don't think anybody could prepare for something like that. That is just terrible. Wow. Let's go to the other camera here real quick. This one right here, this kind of looks out over the city. There's some mountains over there. This is looking across the city of Kingston. Been raining about the same for the last 45 minutes or so. Just a steady downpour, not really pouring, but we don't have that sideways rain yet. You can see the wind starting to pick up just a little bit. You can see some branches starting to get busy over here on the left. You can see the camera starting to move around just a little bit. So the wind is starting to pick up here in this area. Once it starts, I don't think it's going to back off for a while. Because again, this storm doesn't seem to have any weaknesses. So it's not fully on shore yet. I'm talking about the outer band, the big black area that we saw. It's still got a little ways to go. This is that intermittent orange and stuff that's on the outer edge of the black. Intermittent orange and yellow, which is intermittent rain, intermittent winds. But the winds are starting to pick up, as you can see here. And once those winds arrive, I don't think they're going to go anywhere for a day. They'll be around for several hours. Yep, it's starting to get windy. You can see the trees over here moving around. They weren't earlier. These trees here moving around, they weren't earlier. The winds are starting to howl. Starting to get into that tropical storm force, hurricane force. Not near hurricane force yet. We'd see stuff flying through the air, but it's just starting to arrive right here. The winds are here. And it's just too big of a storm to have a band of winds and then stop for a couple hours. It's not going to do that. This storm is not built like that at all. It has no weaknesses. Yep, starting to get windy. We already saw one power line down there that was spitting out sparks. These here, it's just like any infrastructure that has above ground power lines are definitely going to be at the mercy of a Category 5 hurricane. It's just all there is to it. They're above ground. I mean, even below ground, your substations are going to, if they're impacted by the Category 5 core, are going to, probably deal with a malfunction or two. But the safest and most reliable is underground electricity. But most places, even though it's 2025, still have above ground power poles. Because it's terribly expensive. And how do you run the power lines here underground after you've already got roads and sidewalks poured, I mean, that is a massive undertaking to re-engineer all the wiring throughout an established city of nearly 1 million people. The cost would be unbelievable, and then they'd have to raise the power rates, and nobody wants that. So they'd be like, okay, just keep the power poles, and if we ever have a hurricane, but then they have to rebuild, so they end up passing that cost on to the customer, unfortunately. That's what happens. So everything's good as long as the winds don't howl and blow the lines down and trees into the lines and stuff like that. Everything's good and you can keep the power rates affordable. Once you get those storms and you have multiple storms and multiple widespread repair events, it gets expensive. But now that's why newer subdivisions, they're putting the power lines underground, the power companies. I think they've come to realize that, yeah, it's a little more difficult. Not really, though. But once you put them underground, that's it. You don't have to do a whole lot of maintenance, if any at all. Don't have to worry about high winds damaging your infrastructure. Even flooding, because they're waterproof. So, good to go. Things built pre, 2020, 2004-ish, around in there. They were still putting stuff up on poles. Comes another motorcycle. So the winds are starting to pick up, guys. The rain is still coming down. Hurricane Melissa is just right off the coast. Cat 5, very powerful storm. Had some sparks here earlier. It's still doing it. There you go. Look at that. Dang. Sparks are flying to the left now, so it tells you the wind's picking up here just a little bit. So more than likely, whatever power that is supplying, they're going to be probably the first to go off the grid. Right there, that's a weak spot in the power grid. One more update here at Melissa. Yep, updated again. There it is. Looks the same. There's a big old black area that just spun off. That's spin off right there. This is like one giant core. It's all going to cross the island. But here comes some of that really highly energetic black that's coming in. The storm's actually growing in size. Whoa. Growing in size. And look at how big the outer bands are. If you want to talk about outer bands, the outer bands swing way back into here. That reminds me of Irma. So that is as strong as this. Irma even created another storm. That's what this one's trying to do. It's so strong that it could spin up another storm that could come in. It's one for the record books right there. That is a historic storm for sure. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to hop off here. We're watching the arrival of Hurricane Melissa, Category 5, scheduled to make landfall, not for another 24 hours, but I wanted to take a look around before the power more than likely goes off, because from the looks of this satellite presentation, I don't think any area would be able to not lose power staring down a Category 5 of this capacity. So more than likely, the power is going to go out. It's just a matter of time, because that storm is headed right into this area here. This is Kingston, Jamaica. You can see the winds are starting to pick up just a little bit, but still got several hours. In fact, a whole day before the eye wall reaches the coast. And then once the eye wall reaches the coast, it's going to be a chaotic scene here. And I don't know that these cameras will even work. We might be able to see a little bit here and there. I don't know, but honestly, I doubt it. I really do. I really doubt it. They'll probably lose power overnight. There's never a good time for a hurricane landfall. During the nighttime hours like this, when it's dark, is the absolute worst time, because it's dark. It's just a mess. Especially if it's flooding and you're trying to, keep yourself safe, your family safe in the dark with no power, and it's flooding. It's just not a good situation. So. Melissa, I keep saying Maria because Maria impacted Puerto Rico in 2017. This is Melissa. It's a high-end Category 5 that looks like it's actually getting bigger right now as I do this video. Starting to make landfall, starting to rain heavy, the winds are starting to pick up, so things are about to get interesting. They're about to experience their very first Category 5 storm here in Jamaica. From what I read, they've never experienced a Category 5, and I don't know too many people that have, to be quite honest with you. It's not something that people want to experience. Let's see if the sparks are still flying over here to the right. This is our first power line we noticed. And quite surprisingly, with very little, if any, wind at the time, there was a power line over here that sprung loose. And all it was doing was raining. I think some rain somehow got into the transformer or something. I don't know. See this line here starting to bounce a little bit? It's starting to move. That's the first time I've seen them move. Any at all since this it began. There's some sparks were flying. Oh yeah, it's doing it right now. Look at that. And there's somebody walking right there holding an umbrella. It's like holding a lightning rod. Are you serious? Walking under a sparking power line? Ay, ay, ay. Take one more look at it. I don't know what caused it though. I guess water. Take one more look, see here. Should go up a little bit. Yeah, there he is. That's so sparky. What is that, a light maybe? I guess it's making its own light. It's going supernova. Here come the sparks. Look at that. Look how bright that's getting. Dang. I mean, that could create a domino effect here. Look at the sparks falling off of that. Probably going to be scenes like that all over the city before this storm totally leaves the area. You're going to see loose power lines like that all over the place. Category 5 storm has sustained, look at, there's a man standing right there, I think, have sustained winds of over 100 miles an hour quite easily. So power lines, like I said, that's a transformer. The power lines become a victim of their own weight. Bouncing around causes them to malfunction, sometimes fall off the pole. I've seen poles break. It's just a whole plethora of things that aren't good for a power grid. Once again, we're in the Kingston, Jamaica area as Hurricane Melissa, Category 5 Melissa, is letting its presence be known, letting everybody know that it's arrived. And things are about to get dicey here in Jamaica, in the Kingston area. Once again, the winds are starting to pick up. The rain's coming down. It's only going to rain harder, and it's only going to get windier, according to this radar satellite presentation right there. A historic, very large, high-end Category 5 Hurricane Melissa, 2025, headed towards Jamaica. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. We'll get back on maybe in a few hours if the power's still on, the camera's still working. We'll see how things are going, but it's this black area and then, of course, the core. And the core is not supposed to make landfall for another 20 or 24 hours, but this all around the core seems to be very, very highly energized, and again, very well put together storm that doesn't appear to have any weaknesses at all. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here for now. Thanks for watching. Have a super day. And as always, be safe out there.